Whereas we come to present moment awareness, bring your hands to your heart. Draw the chin toward the chest. Feel the lines of energy. We can speak in those terms and simply think of how are we connected to the surfaces below us and how our spine extends upward, what goes along with that. This draws us to our inner landscape, and then we can appreciate on a deeper level energy in general, the energy body, how breath affects emotion, intuition, and the physical body. Rotate the fingertips inward and feel the expansiveness of that arm line that goes from the outer wrist to the outer shoulder to the ears. Rotate the fingertips forward and feel how this movement invites spaciousness across the inner wrist to the inner shoulder, across the collarbones. The lines of energy connect us to the energy body and to each other. So let us put a little bit of power into our movement, that we might feel what we are calling on and connect to inner strength and the springboard that comes. Let us begin. From here, if you will, find that small loop. And so whether you use holding on to your band or hands in the scarf or a loop, create a little bit of a tug and draw the elbows in and notice where your elbows rest. So where I'm trying to guide us from here is to recognize that I could be with elbows wide, but I really want to be with my elbows close to my rib cage. And my arms now are parallel to each other, but as I tug, I can swing them out. And even though we can appreciate the strength work for the back of the shoulders, we can recognize this broadening effect that happened right across. There's a difference between being here and being here, right? So with that, continue with smooth, steady breaths. How does the rib cage expand? How does the neck lengthen? Not just that your arms have a fair amount of work to do. Constant light action. Okay, relax. Take the arms ahead, let them face each other and turn so that one palm is down, the other is up. And let's travel across this line. Anchor the feet to the floor, sit at your tallest spine, and then switch, which is the palm that is down, and come back across. What's rather interesting here is that we did this recently with a strap. We created a loop, but when we have this resistance band this way, we can change angle slightly. We can tug a little bit more and come across. We can add more, or we can back off. Excellent. From here, let's continue with this attention to a greater range. So if I were to create this circular pattern, and then be a little bit at ease with leaning in and rotating more. I want to not only have these big circular patterns, but I want to take the time to go in the reverse. So we strengthen a lot of muscles through the side body as well. Nice. Beautiful. Come back to center And whether or not you have a handle, you're going to have one hand that rests at the center of the sternum and the other that travels ahead. We'll try a few variations of some arm work, but I want to reserve most of it for our standing time. Take the time and switch, just feel what it's like for each shoulder. And we're going to add it to movements like folding and unfolding when we stand. If it becomes too much for anyone, then please return to sitting and you can follow all of what we're going to do from a sitting position. If we were to take one hand to the opposite shoulder and reach out to the side instead, we can have a lateral fold. We won't do that here, but we can explore how we can take the arm up and then how we can send it forward. Nice. As you come back in, as you take it to the other side, just note that when the hand is at the shoulder, you have a shorter distance between the two handles, between the two hands. And if you were to have that hand closer to the center of the sternum, you would have more resistance. So please use that to decide the strength work that you are inviting for today, that if you want less, there is that potential. If you want more, you are in charge. Release. Excellent. From here, still this small loop, we're going to bring to one hip. So it is just like this. And we're pressing down and back. We'll try a little bit of work this way from standing as well. Take the time, come up and over. Notice that we are aiming more down than back. And the idea is to strengthen all of the relationships for the shoulder blade and how it supports shoulder mobility. Wonderful. At the feet and at the arches of the feet. So I am making it a point to ignore the handles. You can prop yourself. Yeah. And then lift one knee. Again, we are going to make it a point to do this from standing. So again, when we get there, I just wanted to make sure anyone coming to sit will feel comfortable with what's happening. I have a light bend of my knee and I want to press up. And then I want to pull back. The pulling back can happen with the band still at the arch of the foot. It can happen with pulling at the heel. So you want to just become familiar with how to handle that band and then switch. I want to lift the knee, push the foot through, have a little bit of a, whether it's small pulses or a holding of this great resistance, strengthening of the quadriceps, and you can pull straight back and underneath. You can decide to make this happen with the band at the arch of the foot. All of that works, but let's do just one more. Again, as you lift, come across, welcome. And then out to the side. We'll try that one more time with the other leg. So we become familiar with what we're asking for. I want to lift the knee and come across, tap into that inner thigh, strengthening, lift the knee and take it out to the side and working on that outer line, that nice balance, and release. So now that we've explored all of that, we re-familiarized ourselves with what we're asking, we're going to put the band aside and we'll continue. We'll trade the band for the block. And we want to balance our pulling actions with our pushing actions in yoga. Take the arms ahead, come into this hip hinge. We're coming to that squatting position. And while we're here in this position, we're going to lower the arms and lift. Exactly. Lower the arms and lift. As you lower the arms this time, keep the arms parallel to the floor, come upright, give your body a break. Take one foot and prop it underneath you, back behind. Come into this fold, bear into your legs, and notice whether you'd like to stay sitting or if you can come slightly standing from the chair. Yep. And then return. Nice. Take the time and switch. Here comes that squeeze, hip hinging, lifting the arms, coming to the feet is our progression, and then come and sit. Excellent. Feet with symmetry, decide how wide you want this, coming up out of the chair. Nice, everyone. And then all the way up, opening, lowering, walking the feet in, using the block in its narrow form to just push. Excellent. Rotate the fingertips forward. Rotate the fingertips back. Notice when your hands are really on that your legs turn on a little bit more too. And let us put the block in the seat of the chair and we'll continue. So I'm going to guide us to stand behind the chair, but to put the chair in the middle of the mat. So from here, you can play with the distance that you want to be with feet wide. It doesn't have to be any wider than you wish. But I want us to have distance between us and the chair to come and rest the arms. So you can be a little bit wide, you can be a whole lot wider in your base, but the chair gives you enough space to not sink. And we'll explore this with the resistance band, but just to get used to what we're asking. The feet have a little bit of turnout. I'm going to take one arm out to the side. The fingertips at the back of the chair give me the chance to have leverage. And the idea is rotation, rotation, rotation. So it is always about where is the rib cage going that gives permission to the top arm. Reach up through the top arm so you're not yanking it back, but let the bottom arm be in charge of the rib cage turning. Exhale, come around and down. These wonderfully held positions give us a chance to strengthen as well, and then to really know what we're asking for. Tug with the fingertips, rotate any amount, keep reaching, and looking to where your fingertips are going. Nice. And take the time and come on back. From here, come back upright and walk your feet somewhat in. Let your hands use either the sides of the chair or here near the top corners of the chair. Similar to where we started, I want my elbows to aim closer to my rib cage, and all I'm doing is bending in the elbows to lean in and then to press away. So what we get out of this is not just to stretch the Achilles, but mostly an attention to upper body strengthening. We're doing pulling actions. This gives us a pushing action, upper body strengthening. If you will stand then with your body turned to one side so that you have the chair at one hip and you still have the length of your mat, right? So everybody turns to face the front edge, the short end of the mat is what I should say, okay? We're gonna start with the leg that is closest to the chair. It is gonna be the front leg. The other one is back behind, exactly. And there are two legs of the chair on the mat, so the chair is not slipping. I want to find turning to put my hands at the back of the chair and your decision on this twist. If the twist is too much, then you want to back away so your body turned with less rotation, okay? If you want to twist deeper, then you're going to want to move further forward, and then you're asking for a much greater rotation for the spine, okay? One hand pushes and the other one pulls. Excellent. And then we come and go from the bend of the knee. So it becomes revolved side angle pose to revolved triangle. Let's keep doing that. Bending in the knee just to stretch the calf behind us. And as we come again, the idea is to hold on to this action of the arms, this push-pull, and to instead lift and lower the back heel. Now that's a little bit sneaky. So we understand that when we lift the heel, we'll have a little bit more of a balance challenge if we were not holding the chair, and it gets us ready for strengthening the foundation. One more time. Before we give this away, we're going to go back to the idea of both feet anchored, front leg straight, and this folding pattern, this fold. Yes. So I have this great rotation. I can look up or back. The hands are still doing a little bit of their push-pull, but the hand in front now has this opportunity to come to the side of the chair. That might make it easier for you to access leverage, but at the same time, it should push down. And as it does, then all of a sudden you keep a longer spine. This is a deeper outer hip stretch. I think everybody might agree. And then inhale, come upright, bend in the front knee, take the outside arm up. Decide if you are ready to slide the hand down the back side of the chair and make it so that you push forward. And as you do, then what happens is a strengthening of the front of the shoulder, and still we have a pushing action. Please consider lifting the back heel. Wow, this great hip opening, right? That serves all of us. We'll stay one more breath, and we'll do all of that on the other side. So come on down. Take the time, step the feet together. You can simply turn around, or you can move the chair to the other side. It does not matter. Okay? Now, as you step the inside leg forward, the leg closest to the chair and the other leg back, decide how far, where is the proximity of the chair that makes your twist right for you, right? And bend in the front knee and straighten the front leg and just feel going between those two places. Now that you warmed up to it, can you make your feet wider away from each other? And continue. So the wider our feet go while the heels are at the floor, the more we are asking for calf, ankle stretches, sole of the foot. The hands are on, they push, pull. Excellent, everyone. And from here, we're going to stay with that front knee bent. We'll lift and lower the back heel. Give us a lot of great strengthening. Great core work as well. We'll do a few more repetitions. Nice. I want you all to continue, come back to this as you wish, but we are straightening the front leg, folding, sliding that front hand to the side of the chair, continuing with any amount more of rotation. As you inhale and come on up, bend the front knee, come unwinding, take the top arm up, lift the back heel, and decide if you can go further. Decide if you can take the back heel further, keep reaching, keep opening. And release. Nice. We'll continue to have this chair at this proximity, but now we're going to use our loop, our small loop. So the small loop, I'm going to trade out and follow the folks who have this kind right now just to show variety. Small loop, no matter whether you have the tube or whether you have the flat band. Great. I want to have a little bit of a comfortable stance. And I'm going to take the arms ahead, turn the feet out, and then take the arms to this goalpost position and explore what's happening in the hands. So the hands can face each other. You can turn your palms forward, and then all of a sudden you have more of an opening across the front of the chest. And we'll try this with a wide band in just a bit, but we're going to take the arms high, any amount. And as we do, we're going to bend in the knees. So what you'll decide is the width of your stance. This is goddess pose. You can keep it narrow, you can make it wider, but now come on in. I'm going to call this going from a V to a W. Here's our W. Here's our V. And it will be more pronounced as a V and a W when we get to that longer band. Let's do one more. Nice. Now, we're going to turn one foot in and the other foot out. What happens here is that we have more of that warrior two position. I can bend in that front knee. And where I'm going with this is to take my hand to the bent knee leg and rest it at the shoulder and press forward. So the arm that reaches over the butt becomes the pushing arm, and the hand that's resting at the shoulder or at the center of the sternum is the pulling arm. And I want to lengthen to the side. You can do any of this without the band and simply hold on to the chair if you wish and focus on this lateral fold and the side body strengthening. Let's try this one more time. And then as you come upright, keeping the hand at the shoulder, take the other one high, lower it down. Let's try that again. Firm the legs to the floor. This is a great way to build time in what the legs are doing in a warrior two. We're going to switch where the hands are, and we're going to come to the shoulder of the straight leg. And I'm going to come closer to the screen so that I can really make sure that everybody gets to where we're going. When I put my hand at my shoulder, I want the other hand to be palm down, like this. All right. I want the elbow to be right at my waistline or at my hip, and I'm pressing down. And it's a great way to isolate what the triceps are doing. So while you have this really great warrior two, we're pressing down, and it so pulls in, it cinches up the line, the back body line. And coming out of it, put your hands simply at the back of your chair, step your feet hip width apart, broaden the collarbones. Notice how already you feel long through the neck. This is mountain pose, and quite often when we've done a lot of asymmetry, it is wise to just park time, bring yourself to mountain pose, and just feel the residue of what you did, lifting the arches of the feet, finding the lift through the front body, continuing with the push, and lifting the front of the feet in general. And then rest your feet. Go back to that idea of lifting the arches. I was listening to another teacher try to describe this action, and I just loved the humor of how she came to get everyone to the right place. Here, relax the sole of the foot, and then come again. Anchor the big toe mound, the inner heel, lift the arches of the feet, feel the kneecaps lift, keep lifting through the front body. So she was small in her frame, and so she had small feet, and she said, I have a shoe fetish and I have really cool shoes. And I want you to think that you're trying to make your foot so small that you want to fit in my shoes. So slide up your feet and draw them in. And I thought that was funny. It helped us understand. And then relax. Step your feet wide as you had before. Turn the other foot in. Turn the first one out. Bend in the front knee. It's fun to notice the cues that others will use. It helps us all. All right. So at first, this loop is going to the arm over the front knee, and you can play around with how it rests on your hand, whether or not you're gripping, how you're making this happen, and how wide your stance is. I know not everything is for everyone, and you might want to sit. Here, straighten the arm, and then come to this side fold, and come back upright. Let's try that again. What I'm trying to do is to leave my foundation still, and I'm trying to just move the upper body so I'm not bending in the knee. So now take the arm up and lower it back down. So we can feel what we call the lines in the back body, how they respond to where the arms are working and how they hold us. Nice. Slide the hands to the shoulder of the back leg of the straight leg. Change how your hand is set in. So the arm at the shoulder is anchoring the band. The other hand is palm down, and it sits right in the loop. The elbow is glued to your side, and the idea is to press down. Exactly. So place your elbow right beside your rib cage, and the movement is just from the elbow, right? And it isolates the tricep muscles. Let's do two more. This gives us a nice balance of where we are strong in our shoulders. And then release. So from here, we're coming back. We're going to walk our feet in. And whether you turn your chair to the side or you turn sideways to the chair, I want you to have it so that it is at your arm's length beside you. And we're going to place the band at our feet. You can do all of this without having the band on your feet. But if you're using that loop, if yours has handles, I'm going to encourage you to not step on the handles. And if you just have a simple yoga strap, you can create the loop and work from there. There won't be a give per se, but there will be resistance regardless. All right? So if this does not work, do without the band. It will be just fine. Lift and come across. And then lift and take it back out to the side. All right? Same leg. Lift and come across, and then lift and take the leg out to the side so we can appreciate this internal and external rotation. So then the other leg comes, knee lifts, we come across, the knee lifts, and we take the leg out to the side. And here's what I'm looking for as we sort of establish how we're stable, how we're secure, is that we stay upright and just let the leg move. Right? It's not important how far we go. It determines the resistance that you're asking for, how much you want to put some, intensity into it. Today, a little goes a long way. Let's go back to the first leg. So I want you to focus on being upright and letting just the leg move. I want to lift the knee, and this time press forward. So some of you will feel that you need to keep the band right at the top of the foot, and you can just press forward, and that would be fine. If you feel comfortable sliding the leg through, so this is at your ankle, please keep a light bend of your knee regardless, so you're not locking your knee, and we can have small presses, or we can just hold that resistance. Wow, that's a whole lot of strength work for the quadriceps, and this is what we count on when we get up out of the chair. Pull the leg back. When we were sitting, we said, oh, I could keep this at the arch of the foot and press back, or I can simply pull at the heel and pull the heel up and in. Yeah, any amount of that. This is gluteal work. You can press more back than pulling up, and it will get to not just glutes, but hamstrings as well. When you're ready to return, draw it in and step down, and let's do the other side. I want to lift the knee and decide whether I'm pressing forward or if I'm going to push the foot through and have these small presses. Right? I think this gets our attention, all of us. Draw in and press back. Notice if what you prefer is to keep this at the arch of the foot, or if what you prefer is to keep it at the back of the heel and pull back. Engage the glutes for sure. Decide if you're pulling up more or if you're pressing back more. You will change what is really participating. And then come on in and step out of it. That was a lot. Okay. The chair is beside you. We have this small loop. And I want us to put our hand at the hip, close to the chair, and to step forward. So I want you to have a safety net. My hand is anchoring at the hip, and I get to reach down and back, and I can aim for the chair and know that it's there. Hey, if I lose my balance, I can hold the chair. I can slide along the length of the back of the chair. Notice the reaction of the shoulder, dropping the shoulder down and back, and that this can be simple. It doesn't have to be huge to be effective. If you find that you need to have that chair underneath your hand, then simply turn around to do the other side. If you are comfortable now with what we're doing, simply take the hand to the opposite hip and reach down and back. Notice how your legs react. They firm to the floor. Where are the lines of energy? They're between the hands and they're from the heels to the crown of the head. Right? What is happening? We feel long and strong. I'm aiming for that every day, and not just for me, for all of us. All right, relax. We'll put this band aside. We'll switch it out for the wider band. All right. So some of you might have this figure 8 loop. You could use it now, or you can take that wide flat band. So if you have a wide band, I try to wrap it this way so it doesn't need me to do much gripping. All right. You might decide to turn and face your chair, step your feet wide. And now that everybody is there, I'm gonna stay with you this way. We're doing the same thing. How wide you wish to go, totally up to you. You don't have to be super wide in your feet, but your feet are turned out. Take the arms up. Now, this is a more pronounced V. Before we add any squatting to it, pull your hands to this goal post position and drop the elbows a little bit so you are more at a W. Nice. Let's explore one more variation. Take the arms up to your V. I know this might not be for today or for everyone, but I want you to not drop your head forward. I want you to notice if you can come behind your head and ask for any amount of that W behind you. That's huge, okay? And then as you were, so you can explore between the two. We are pulling to our W, and bending in our knees. Taking the arms to the V, and we'll make it so that the W is with legs straight. Yep. And the V is with knees bent. So we're just really asking more of one quadrant of the body here. Pull to the W, decide behind or in front. What is your preference? Come into your V, come back into your squat. Notice how your hands react to the band. Yep. So it doesn't matter how much resistance you're asking for, you're going to get some strength work out of this. And even if you didn't have a band and you were going through the movement, you're working against gravity and your arms are working. Nice. From here, if you will, turn one foot in and one foot out. This can be short or it can be really wide in your base. Take the arms back up to the V and fold laterally. This is a triangle preparation. We're just going to do one. Inhale, come upright. Revolve the feet. Here comes that hip hinge. Excellent. Come back upright. And lower the arms. Does everybody agree that was a lot? Walk your feet in. All right. So we will continue with the band at our feet. I think you're going to enjoy what we do with this one now, okay? So I want to take this long band and I'm going to step on it. You're going to turn sideways and step forward. So the foot that has the band is the inside leg. We're going back to our warrior one. And the outside leg is going to step back. And I'm holding my band with the leg on the outside. So the leg that's back behind, that arm is holding the band. And we're going to do a few things. And please make it so that you are happy with the width of your stance. You can do any of this without a band, all right? At first, we're going to pull back. So I want to take the arm that's holding the band and it's just going to pull back. I don't get very far. If you have a flat band, you can decide to let go one end and have just half of the resistance capacity, and you might be able to pull back further. I want to show without the band. What we're really doing is trying to pull back. I'm not going to get nearly that distance, so don't overdo. There's No win in overdoing. Right? So this is a fair amount of work. Relax the arm. This time, turn the palm so it faces inward, it faces your body, and pull the elbow back. This is kinder on the shoulder, and this is more of a reminder of how we will want to lift things with our arms so that we're not hanging from our shoulders or imposing on the back. Next, relax. Turn the palm forward and rest your elbow beside you. Keep it right at your waistline, hip point, and do a few bicep curls. Anchor the back heel. Notice how the hip continues to open just because the body is relaxing. Nice. We started with a more challenging one. We're going to end with a more challenging one. We're going to turn the palm down. The elbow is fairly straight, and the idea is to lift up. And so we're just going to hold it. So if I didn't have the band, I would want to lift to shoulder height. And if you can lift higher with your band, I don't want you to go higher. I want you to be somewhere in there. Notice I didn't get anywhere near shoulder height because of the resistance of my band and the strength for today. Right? So notice we are working with the outside limbs, and we're with the inside set holding on to the chair and having that grounding. Relax. Step your feet together. You are welcome to turn around to the other side or to move the chair. You don't really need to see me. We will follow the same set. The inside leg is going to step on the band. It's just anchoring it down. The outside leg steps back. The front knee is bent. The back leg is straight. I'm going to wrap my hand on this side. I gave myself a little bit more length. And then the idea is to pull back, right? You got to listen to you. Right. Let's see if I can go this way for a while. So the arm is fairly straight and I'm aiming back. One side definitely different than the other. Relax. Turn the palm to face inward, to face you. And here's where I can wrap my hand a little bit more. The palm faces inward and we're pulling up. The elbow stays close to your body, up and back. Right? We pick up that bag of groceries. We want to use these muscles. We want to have power in our legs and strength in the core, but the arms have to be ready. Relax. Turn the palm up, rest the elbow beside you, come into this bicep curl. We count on these muscles a whole lot all day long. We bring things to us. We hold things. We hug people. Lots of good things. And as my teacher would say, we bring the fork to our mouth. Turn the palm down. The elbow is straight again. We are trying to be really kind with this one. This lift, palm down, arm fairly straight, calls on the superficial muscle of the top of the shoulder. It sits like a big old umbrella, the big deltoid. And it needs to be stronger so the smaller muscles underneath, the rotator cuff muscles, don't overdo. They'll take up the difference if this one is not strong. All right, relax. Very nice, everyone. And so we have really charged the body. We're going to fold these, get them out of the way, and we're going to work our way back to sitting. Right. So I'm trying not to have these underfoot. We'll take the block and we'll put it between the feet, have it ready for when we're sitting. And I'm going to come and place my feet on either side of the block. You can make the block narrow, you can keep it wide, but what will happen here is that you are holding on, right? You're holding on. Take the arms forward and up, come and sit. Yep, notice how your legs respond to this squeezing, this pushing action. We had pulling actions before. Very nice. As you have the block between your feet, As we hold on to the block, I want us to lift and lower the front of the foot. And we've been working on such things. They might not be our favorite things just yet. You can do this without the block by all means. But as you continue, very quickly, you're able to feel, oh, it's not just the top of my ankles, but wow, these muscles that are along the outer shins, we're about to come into warmer weather, right? We're gonna, time flies because we're having fun. And before we know it, it's gonna be springtime and we get out and walk. And if we haven't been doing a lot of moving, you've heard that term, people get shin splints, the pain in these muscles in their legs. And it's because there are not muscles on the other side, the flat bone of the tibia here. And so these outer shin muscles need to take up that difference and stay strong. For just a few repetitions, lift the heels, bring the block with you. What I want us to get out of this, and if you get a cramp in your feet, then put your feet down, lift the front of the feet, stretch out those muscles. But if what you can do as you lift the heels, as you prop yourself up, is to pull back against your sticky mat, like you're trying to slide your toes closer to you. Does everybody feel the soles of their feet turn on, and it taps into the hamstrings? It makes you sit a little bit taller. You can do this from standing, some of this from standing. We get a whole lot out of this when we sit. The pulling back action is more accessible. All right, so now we'll make this a little bit different. I'm going to move the block so it's underneath one side, and I'm going to plant the heel on it. So what gets to happen is that my heel pushes, and I'm counting on this sticky mat. And I want to come and park the toes of the other foot more toward the front, and I have a push-pull, and it's not centered, it's to one side. Okay, so we have this a little bit of external rotation on this side. And all of a sudden, you don't have to work or think about, overthink this sitting up tall. This does it for you. The lines of energy that turn on in your body support extension, sitting tall. Relax. Slide the block over to the other side. Put it underneath the heel so that the heel is pushing forward against the sticky mat, against the block. The other foot is in front, and the idea is to push, pull. And one side may tell you different. If you start to get a cramp through the sole of the foot, that means we need to be stronger in those muscles. The relationship of that plantar fascia could stand to be different. To be stronger. Okay, relax. Well, let's move the block out of the way. If it becomes a favorite thing, it's a great exercise to do. And you don't have to have a block. You can use almost anything to do that with. Can we turn so that we're not turning out in our knees, but we are turning to the outer edge of the feet, trying to lift the inner edges of the feet up? You can put your hands at your knees just to notice that you're not doing that. And you can even let your hands press into the outer knee to keep you from doing that. And then we have a whole lot of action through the ankle and the sole of the foot. Relax. This time I'm going to make sure my knees are staying in. I'm going to put my hands to the inner knee, and I'm going to change to put the weight more to the inner edges without letting the knees collapse. So what happens? I get a little bit of resistance. We could have put the block there, but I am really strengthening this inversion, eversion kind of movement potential. Right? Relax. We want from here to lift the toes and spread them wide. All right, and this time I want you to really look at your feet, because sometimes if we look at what we're asking for, we can connect that our brain is trying to ask our toes to do this next bit. Can you put the big toes down, right? And keep the other toes up. When we do mountain pose, we're kind of asking for that, but now we're coming upon something different. Can you keep the big toes down and also put the little toes down and keep the other 3 lifted in the middle? Wow, right? Because we have nerves that go to each of them. And then we have some nerves. So for example, there's one nerve that goes to the big and the second toe all by itself. So we could lift those 2 by themselves, but now rest down. Now, look at your feet if you wish, and lift the big toe and press the other 8 toes down. Yep. I'm not going to ask you to lift the little toe, but I am going to ask us to think about, can I lift the big toe and then I can lift the second toe and leave the other 3 down, because there is a nerve that does that, just those 2 toes. And then can we keep asking for it? Can I ask the next one to come up and then the next one to come up? And lastly, all 10 toes are lifted. Okay, that's a lot of isolation of specific areas. Press the little toe down and then the second one to the little toe and then the middle and then the 4th toe and lastly the big toe. So just saying that if we start with the big toe, it's easier to kind of access that. But what if we want to start with the little toe? Okay, I want to lift the little toe up and I ask for that and it doesn't happen for me. Okay, it doesn't happen for me. If I ask for that, the other ones, they just want to all come up together. And so, but some people can. All right. So depending on, the shape of your toes, how you really bear weight, we're all so unique in that. There are some things that are the same between us, like typically when people walk, they have a heel strike and a toe lift, typically. And about 25% of your weight is in your big toe mound. Can we try to lift the little toe side again? Can we leave everything else on the floor? If we just kind of look and ask for it, it might start to, our brain to our foundation might start to remember that we're wired to do this. And then lift the other toes along the way, leave the big toe down, keep asking for that lift, keep the knees centered. So all of those pathways that are supported by capillary beds are maintained when we really use our feet a lot in all of the different articulation capacities. But that means we can grow that back again and we can ask for it. Relax. I want us to do another very simple thing to understand the point that when we are really able to reach into our feet and stretch the frame of the foot and do all kinds of using toes as the kickstand for all kinds of movements and catch yourself if we're about to fall, it's your toes that'll grip first, then our spine is more mobile and our rib cage is more mobile. So if you were to curl your toes without getting a cramp, stretch them out if you do, and then just take a deep breath. Notice the capacity of that 3-dimensional expansion of your rib cage, and then slowly relax your feet and exhale. And then stretch your toes, really stretch your toes, lift all of them, stretch them wide, and now take a deep breath. There should be more spaciousness. You should feel like the expansiveness of your rib cage is more willing, is greater. And so whether or not we do these kind of footwork exercises, that is the reason that I use a lot and suggest that we use toe socks. Something between your toes is going to give you a greater articulation of the frame of your foot. So if you keep just your toes wide and spread, put your hands at your side ribs. And imagine that your breath is going to expand the rib cage wide. And as you exhale, you're not trying to do anything more than let your hands be your feedback. Allow the exhalation to incorporate core engagement a little bit more. And imagine you're trying to narrow the rib cage, inviting the fingertips closer to each other. Let's do it again. Inhale, broaden. This is the expanding relaxation phase of the breath cycle. As you exhale, pull everything to the midline. The core engages to make this more of a core exercise. And then inhale again. You're breathing into those lower ribs, floating ribs. Rest your hands down and just be aware of that sensation. Exhale, pull everything to center. Remember your hands coming closer together. Rest your toes and do it again. Inhale and broaden. Notice how your body quiets. The back of your neck relaxes, hopefully. Feels wide. Exhale, pull everything to center. Notice how maybe your legs might turn on a little bit and you sit a little bit taller. The exhale is the working phase of the breath cycle. Put your hands at the front of the knees and exhale. This time, let's think about cat pose. So a little bit of flexion or a whole lot of flexion, right? Taking advantage of all that footwork, articulation of the spine. Inhale, pull yourself through. Begin to go to any amount of a back bend. Look ahead, move the sternum forward, broaden the collarbones, reach the chin forward, right? And then exhale and come on in. If your fingertips are at your knees, you can pull down. You can also just reach down. How are we doing? Then inhale and pull through. Excellent. Keep your hands at your knees, and as you come upright, simply turn to one side. Notice the sitting bones. They want to shift, but you're keeping that, and your feet get to push, pull, and keep you in place. Take the time and ask for this little bit of rotation without changing anything other than what your rib cage is able to do. We're taking advantage of the footwork. And return to center. Bring your hands to your heart. This connection of the layers of the body allows us to rest in that energy layer. After movement, there is a release of tension. There is this sense of expansiveness. What positivity are you inviting into that spaciousness? Give intention to the rest of your day. With the next exhalation, resolve to it. Namaste, everyone. Good practice.